All right, so here we are. We got this weird guy like hiding in the shadows back there. He's not going to say anything. This is going to be a pretty tough podcast to listen to. It's going to be pretty intense, the subject matter, and I'm not sure the best way to start this conversation other than just to say this is something that has impacted me personally several times over. People that I care deeply about that are no longer with us. Thankfully, I've never been suicidal. I'll come out and say the word. I don't like saying the word. But I have had my depression over the years, and it's taken a toll on me. So I can, to some extent, and you and I have talked about this, understand the headspace that somebody's in when they make that choice, because I lived depression for a long time. Thankfully, I'm well past that now. I'm connected with same motorcycle association he is, CVMA. And then obviously I have this is the Warriors of the Win podcast, if I haven't said that. So today we're just going to talk about your brother, who is no longer with us. You and I went on the ride to honor him 5 years after the fact. He was, I'm going to say what I know about him.
Good.
So Marine Corps, I'm guessing machine gunner based on the pictures. Yeah. Okay. And then went on to work in the law enforcement community, did some SWAT work, and that is the extent of what I'm going to say. But we're here to honor your brother. We're here to talk about the things that trickle-down effect of him making that choice, the ripple effect. I did some research about, I've heard several times from different people that work in psychology, the trickle-down effect is something around 115 people that are affected by a suicide after the fact, mental health issues and so on. So those are the things we're going to talk about. How do you want to do that? Can we talk a little bit about your brother? Just everything from his name to what he did growing up, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I just want to say first, hearing that and just reading that 5 minutes ago, that 115 people are affected by one suicide is outrageous. But I'm going to jump forward and go off that, and then I'll go back to your question of seeing when my brother took his own life and how many people were affected. 115 seems like minuscule to how many it actually affects.
Wow.
So you got to figure if there's an average, right? Some suicides are going to affect 10 people, and some suicides may affect 500 people. There's got to be an average somehow, you know what I mean? So some are more, some are less. But I felt 115 wasn't even a drop in the bucket to how many people were affected by my brothers. That was, but it's crazy to hear and see just how many, on average, 115 people. I don't even think I know 115 people. But I guarantee you, if something were to happen, there's a lot of people that it would affect because you don't realize how many people you have affected in your day-to-day life.
Right. Amen to that.
So, going back, so I needed to say that because when I read that, I was waiting to comment on it until you started this, but that's a mind-blowing number. That is huge because I can guarantee you, I mean, a lot of people probably don't think they know 115 people. This isn't Facebook friends or Instagram friends.
Right.
Do you specifically, do you have a close personal relationship with 115 people? Probably not. I don't feel like I'm even close to that.
So if I can ask, this thing's bugging me, I'm going to move it. If I can ask, if you were to guess the number of people that were affected by losing him, what would your guess be?
275 people showed up to his funeral.
Okay.
That's a start.
That is, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good feedback, man, because I've been on many crisis calls with Marines in particular that were considering ending their lives or they were just desperate. Mm-hmm. And throwing out that number that I have heard from mental health professionals is usually the biggest epiphany to them going, I don't think I should do this now. So hearing that from you, somebody who's actually lived it, I'm going to use that. I'll use it for good. Mm-hmm. So you hear about suicide being a selfish decision. There you have it. That's how many people are negatively impacted by someone making that choice. So
for the rest of their lives.
For the rest of their lives, and exactly. So tell me about your brother, bro.
Thomas Matthew Olson. He had just turned 30 years old when it happened. We'll go back to childhood. I can't say it was a bad childhood. It was, my dad did what he could for us. Single father raising 3 kids. And when I say 3 kids, there's only 39 months between my little brother and my older brother, and I'm in the middle, so we're very tight in age. My dad was 25 years old with us by himself. Did what he could. I don't knock him for anything. So when it came time for us to grow up and figure out what we want to do and how we want to make money, it's me and my little brother decided the Marine Corps was how we were going to do it. And holy shit, that's my brother's old neighbor.
Oh, really?
Fucking weird. Probably still say hi to him. But anyways, I decided I was going to join the Marine Corps in 2006. He was the only person I told. He told me to wait. He was graduating in 2007. So I waited for him. We joined together. Chose different career paths, motor T, infantry. He was just gung-ho. I mean, every Marine is gung-ho no matter what. Even the ones that don't want to do anything, there's still a gung-ho soul in that body, right?
Yeah.
He was very pissed off because I went to combat and he did not, as motor T, and he was a machine gun. But he was just that person. He always wanted to be involved. He always wanted to be that person that he didn't want anybody he knew to ever hurt. He wanted to take that hurt away, and he wanted to handle it by himself. He was definitely a leader, very strong, and I will say he's the strongest person I've ever known. And even him taking his own life doesn't change my opinion about that, because I've learned that that doesn't mean you're weak. Coming from the service, and I can only imagine it's law enforcement, fire, EMS, and all these other things. You're taught if you speak about it, you're weak. Like that's almost, and I don't want to say you're taught. That's probably the wrong word, but it's implied. And I hate that word implied.
Ingrained.
It's ingrained in you that you just bottle it up, deal with it later. Don't bring it here. And so it's, if you ask for help, you're weak. If you need help, you're weak. If you show signs of weakness, you're weak. So knowing that he was the strongest person, and I'm going to have to apologize because when I talk, I do squirrel, so you might have to reel me back in.
You're fine.
And then I might have to ask you, what the hell were we talking about? Because I'll go so far out.
Hey, we're the same. What do you know? Marines, go figure.
I get there. Coming out of the military, I got out a couple months before him. He came out, went straight into law enforcement. Absolutely loved it. Right up his alley. And mindless, like I said, this is my younger brother. He's almost 2 years younger than me. And after he got into law enforcement, I was like, well, maybe I should go into law enforcement. And he actually talked me out of it. And I'm glad he did, because it's a thankless job. I'm thankful for them, but it's a thankless job.
Right.
And it sucks. It's unfortunate. And he worked for an agency that is in a small town with a lot of prisons. There's a lot of activity. And he went through more stuff in a 6-year period than you would hope anybody did. He went through more stuff in a 6-year period than people in other cities and states and counties, and that never even go through in a career of law enforcement. And I'm not going to get into the details of what he went through. There was shootings. There was certain cases that he just had to witness things. I don't want to say too much and let the agents slip and let the agency out there and all that. That's not my business. But just know he went through a lot mentally, a lot physically, but a lot more mentally. And I'm from seeing, and this is going to be anybody who works in a first responder environment, seeing shaken baby syndrome, seeing rapes and murders and gunshot victims and stabbings and being shot at and having to shoot back and do all these things. it'll take a toll on you. Whether you go see somebody and talk about it or not, it's going to take a toll on you. And there's all those people out there that want to be that person that's involved in that. And I'd probably venture to guess that they're wrong. They think they do, but then they get involved in it and they wish they weren't.
Right.
You know, they want to be a protector. They want to help. They want to take that away. They have that alpha mentality, whatever you want to call it. But then they get it and then they hide it and they bottle it up and they let out spurts of what's going on. And those spurts are sporadic on what they even are. It could be angry one day. It could be happy one day, masking it. It could be drinking. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. It could be nicotine. It could be so many different things that you never know what it could be, whether they think it's some sort of post-traumatic stress or it's not. Maybe it's just in their head and they don't know how to get rid of it and they don't think it's post-traumatic. So they just think, I'll get over it.
Let me interject here if you don't mind, man. Being in the line of work that I'm in now, I'm not licensed to do much of anything in this space. I'm just really freaking passionate about it because I want to fix a problem. As a prior Marine, I've led a lot of Marines and I've lost a lot of Marines to this. And I want to say in the last roughly 2.5 years, I've lost 4 friends to alcohol alone. The last one was a Marine Corps officer that I was introduced to by another guy. I never served with the guy. He was a Marine Corps captain. We shared the same rank. We could talk the same language. And he was just dead set on, oh, I'll be okay. Everything's, I mean, yeah, I know I got to stop. But, you know, that I'm like, dude, just go to rehab. Go to rehab. And one of the last conversations I had with the guy, and I alluded to this at our last meeting, was, are you trying to kill yourself with alcohol? And he kind of laughed it off, and then he was kind of upset that I was that direct about it, because I'm like, look, I've had people that were honest with me when I needed them to be honest with me about my habits. And, you know, I kind of went like this with it, and finally I decided, hey, I'm going to get some help for it. On my own accord, never had any legal problems, never, you know, nothing like that.
Got lucky.
Yeah, I did. Because honestly, the reason I'm still around doing this is because I'm so passionate about fixing the suicide problem that's probably one of the reasons that I said, you know what, I can't do as good of a job doing this if I'm still doing those things. So, stone cold sober, I'm no fun at parties in theory, but I'm a great DD. And I guess what I'm trying to say is if you are leaning on alcohol to get through your day, eventually it's going to end badly for you if you don't stop that. 4 friends, 2.5 years. One of them I served in combat with, a guy that I really looked up to and respected. And I'm tired of it. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. So back to your brother. There was something else. I was going to say, I know I have a lot of friends that have what they call followed the gunpowder, just like your brother did. Meaning they get out of the Marine Corps, and I think it's probably a disproportionately high amount of Marines that go into law enforcement, but maybe I'm wrong compared to the other services. But get out of the Marine Corps, maybe they're Fallujah veterans, maybe they're, you know, Afghanistan, whatever. They go join the law enforcement community, and I've heard over and over again, it's harder in law enforcement than it was in war.
Depending on where they work, yeah.
So just know that. I mean, when you see a cop and they look like they're having a bad day, if you get an opportunity to say thank you, give them a hug maybe, buy them a cup of coffee, I guarantee they deserve it, unless they're one of the small percentage of cops that don't. But I've worked in law enforcement at a low level, Department of Public Safety, Iowa State University, not a sworn position, but I've worked around a lot of police officers. That is a very stressful job, and they deserve our respect. And I'll get off my soapbox about that one, but when I see people talking badly about law enforcement officers, it really upsets me, because most of them are good people who are there for the right reasons. So, actually, you know what? I happen to be wearing that shirt. Forgot about that. I didn't do this on purpose, actually, as it turns out. I just wore this to church. So, Thin Blue Line, law enforcement, we love you. Back to your brother.
Where I was.
I'm sorry if that was too much of a diatribe there.
No, you're good.
He followed the gunpowder. He saw a lot of stuff. He buried it how he buried it. What did that look like?
Alcoholism for sure. He started drinking more and more, and his wife, they were partiers. They were drinkers together. So the more he would drink, the more she would drink. The more she would drink, the more he would drink, and it was normal for them. They met when they were 18. They grew up partying together, and they were married while we were in the Marine Corps, and that's what we did, and that's what they did, and they just kept doing it. But it became more, a lot more drinking, more than any of us even knew. Come to find out, and that's how. That's most alcoholics. You don't really know how much they drink. You may not even know that they're an alcoholic because you only see what they're drinking. You don't know what they're hiding or what they're drinking outside of that, right? So him and his wife started having marital problems. There was some financial issues, suspected infidelity issues, a lot of just going on between them. They had a child together. They wanted another one. They couldn't do it physically. Trying to adopt in the California way, you got to foster them first. You got to foster them. You have to get licensed for that. So you can't just adopt a child in the state of California. It's a way it works. And for whatever reason, it is what it is. So they were in the middle of foster. So this I'm going to backtrack to that foster real quick and lead into it. This is the type of person my brother was. He had arrested this girl probably 15 times, and every time she's strung out on crack, she's a prostitute, she always had drugs on her, and she's always pregnant. This was her second child, and she was 27 years old. And he told her when he arrested her about this time, he was, I promise you, when you give birth to this child, I will take custody of her. And that was the child that they were fostering. I don't remember the child's birth name, but they changed it to sequel. In the foster adopt process, they were allowed to actually change the name somehow. It was changed to Sierra. Beautiful little name, beautiful little girl.
How was she at the ride that we went on together?
No. She was a baby at the time. She was straight from birth. They took her home 2 weeks later. So the mother never even adopted. They took her. That was a promise my brother made, and he even told her, if you clean her act up, I'm going to take visitation. I want you to do better. And it really upset him because here they are trying to have a child, and they physically could not. And there's people like that out there that can pop them out like skills. It's sad. It's sad. So that goes back to the type of person he was. We grew up we didn't have much, but if we ever had a friend in need, my dad's door was always open for anybody. There wasn't much food in the house, but guess what? They were allowed to eat every meal. That's just how we were raised. And it's the same thing with us. I don't care if it's neighborhood kids from down the street. If you want to come play, if you come to my house and you're hungry, I'm going to feed you. It might piss me off that you're eating on my snacks, but they're open to everybody. It's just how I was raised. It doesn't matter. I will give you everything. And that was him. So I forget the exact day. Right around 4th of July, 2019 is when it all went to shit. I was actually at work, working an emergency call, and it was close to midnight. And he calls me in tears. My brother was crying. He was way too strong for that. He calls me in tears. We had just got arrested after work. Showed up to a SWAT call drunk. And a lot of people are going to bash me for saying this, but turning them in and having them arrested is not the way to handle that. Coming from the military is, if I show up in that situation, beat my ass until I can't even speak, that's my punishment. people can hate law enforcement because they think they get away with shit. They don't all get away with shit, but he didn't deserve that. He did not drive unsafe to get there. He got there, got geared up, threw the SWAT call. He was a strike team lead, gave his briefing, and then his sergeant, his own sergeant, the sergeant who trained him, the sergeant he looked up to and wanted to be like, and could not quit talking to me about this guy. Asked him, "Have you been drinking?" He goes, "Yeah, I have some drinking." Had CHP for DUI. He felt betrayed, and that's all he kept telling me was, "I got hosed. I got hosed." And like I said, if people want to take that, feel like he got what he was coming to him, I disagree with you. That's not how that's happened.
For the record, I can understand you on that. As long as, the DUI.
Everything's safe. There's other ways to handle it that he will make sure he will never do again.
Well, that's a Marine Corps culture thing too. I mean,
Yeah.
you and I both know.
Beat the crap out of him. I'll take it.
You can
break a
spare-
leg. I don't care.
You've got a great Marine, for example, just to give you guys some context. You got a great Marine that has had, let's say, a successful 15-year career and makes one mistake that, potentially preclude his retirement, his, hers, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have an opportunity at that point to make them extremely sorry for whatever it is they did and still let them fill out the rest of their career and do an even better job than they would have had they not gotten in trouble, because they're gonna make up for their mistake.
If not, they're going to do it again, and then you punish them.
Exactly. That's like a one-time. You get off this time easy. In theory, we're going to make your life a living hell for the next 6 months or whatever. Sweeping the deck, and you're a staff sergeant, gunny, whatever. Sweep the deck for the next 6 months and look like a fool, but you still got to live out your retirement. So I understand where you're coming from. That's all I'm trying to say.
So, like I said, this is about midnight, and I finish up at work. I live an hour and a half away, an hour and 15 minutes, and I called my older brother, who worked a graveyard shift. He got off right about midnight, and I called him and said, "Hey," and he lives 45 minutes north, and I live an hour and a half south-ish of where he's in the middle of us, right? And so we're just going to his house. And we get there, and he's just hysterically still crying, but he's got his son and the girl Sierra that they're fostering, and he's home by himself because he was actually at his neighbor's house when the call came in. And this is when I really put two and two together and found out that he had a problem, because when he was at his neighbor's house, he had just opened it. Well, he had one, and finished it, and just was given another one. I believe that's how it was. Because my neighbor still has that one beer sitting. His neighbor still has that beer sitting to this day. Refuses to get rid of it, open it, throw it away. Anything.
Yeah,
and that was the surprising, because he got a call and he told the neighbor, "Hey, watch my kids up whenever's done. Like, put them to sleep in the couch, whatever." He was put them to sleep in my house. Go watch them, whatever. I'll get them. And his neighbor used to be tied into the law enforcement community. He resigned, you can say. He didn't retire, didn't run there long enough for that, but he went on to different career paths. So he knows. He even heard about it before. And that was the surprising news. He didn't realize how much. So the fact that they did that to him, he was quote by the letter of the law, drunk. But you could be quote by the letter of the law, drunk. You could do things better than half of these people out here that don't know their left hand from their right hand. So that's a whole different topic.
It's cultural in certain professions, and I worked in construction, same kind of deal. I mean, these are some hard-living people, but when they're at work, they will bust their butts for you.
Yeah. So when me and my older brother showed up, we finally just told him to go to bed. Just let it go. We took the two kids. We slept on his couch, and we each held one. We just went to bed. We woke up and we came down. We just sat there. We boom, and he said 5 words the whole next day. And I asked him, "Where's your wife?" "Oh, she's down visiting her dad." I said, "Oh." Which, to fast forward about 8 months, no, not even 2 months later, when we found out she was not down there visiting her dad, she was down there having an affair with her ex-boyfriend. And he knew. He found out. He found out probably like I said about 2 months later. At the time, he thought she was down there with her dad. There was another instance. So that spiraled up. So, and I tried to tell you that I'm not going to get derogatory towards people, but I have to state some facts.
Yeah, I can pull stuff out as needed if I need to.
Okay, I have to state some facts.
Understood.
I asked him when he called me, when he called me crying, I asked him, I said, "Where is your wife first?" And that's when he had told me, "She's down south at her dad's." And I said, "Was she coming home?" Her response was, "You're a fuck up. You've always been a fuck up. You should figure your life out." And I'm not coming home for a couple more days.
Okay.
That's just as tough for me to say as it was for me to hear.
Understood.
That's supposed to be your ride or die. That's supposed.
Sorry for the technical
You're
time
fine.
out there.
That's supposed to be your person you can say anything to with zero judgment. Yeah, they might not like it and they may punish you a little bit, but there's not supposed to be any resentment. They're supposed to say, "I got you. I'll be there." Because one thing my brother lived for was for her. So that started a whole ordeal. He got some days on the beach. Luckily, they were paid, not unpaid, or there was an investigation. Stripped from patrol, stripped from the SWAT team, stripped from range master. Put in bailiffs. And my brother was never the one to take sick days. He started calling in sick. Like I said, this was right around 4th of July. He took his own life October 6th, same year. 2019. So, month 7 to month 10. So 3 months. We're talking, right?
No,
July to October?
3 months.
It's just shy of 3 months, right around 3 months, right? Okay. Make sure my math was mathing. He called in sick quite a bit, quit going. The amount of times that he called me, and in between court hearings, being a bailiff, he walked to the other side of the courthouse and he's in line to get divorce papers. And he's on the phone with me because he knows if he's not on the phone with me or my older brother, he couldn't go through with it. He needed us on the phone to go help him go through with this because he knows he needed to do it. But like I said, he lived for her. He couldn't picture his life without her. He used the phrase, he built his own empire with her. He could not see his empire without her. That's how he referenced it. Everything we have is together. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to live without her. And I said, "You have your son, dude. Whatever happens with Sierra, if you get to foster her and adopt her, whatever that is, you still have your son." It just wasn't. It's selfish to say it. To him, it wasn't enough. His son wasn't enough. He wanted the whole family. That's the only part that I resent him for, is for leaving his son. That's the only pill I have yet to be able to swallow, is how can you do that to your own son? But all in all, he couldn't divorce her. He couldn't do it. He couldn't picture his life without her. About 2 weeks before he took his own life, she actually called me and said, "Hey, I'm worried. I think your brother's going to commit suicide today." And I was dumbfounded. What the hell are you talking about? And she goes, "He left the house with his gun." I said, "Well, backtrack. He's a cop. He always carries this gun. Where is he going and what is he doing? And she goes, he says he's going to the bank. Okay, maybe he's got to go pull some money out, pay a bill, do something. Who knows? So I call him. Hey, what are you doing? He goes, I got to go pull some money out. I got buying a canoe or whatever the hell he was buying. I got to go pull some money out of the bank. I said, oh, you're not going to kill yourself? He goes, what? I said, I'm just asked. She called me and said, you took your gun and you're going to go kill yourself. He goes, no. Because I always have my gun. I said, that's what I figured. He goes, I'm good. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. We're just going to fast forward to October 6th. It's probably about 8:30 in the morning. I get a call from him. We're literally walking out my front door, taking my child, my oldest, who was 6, in T-ball. Walking out the door to take him to this T-ball game, and my brother calls me hysterically crying. He can't just quit saying how lonely he is. I said, okay, I got you. And backtrack a little bit. His wife drained his bank accounts, maxed out the credit cards. He had $0. Like, he didn't eat. Would quit eating to make sure she left the kids with him to make sure the kids could eat, make sure the dogs could eat. He did. He wasn't eating that. Come to find out, his neighbor was, my brother smoked, but was giving him his cigarettes, was buying him for just showing up with food because he knew he was financially drained. There was nowhere to go. So he called. He kept saying, and I said, "Hey, do you have your kid with you? Is Jason with you?" He said, "Yeah, I got him here." I said, "Dude, you're not lonely. You have the one thing in this world that matters: your flesh and blood, your own child. That's all that matters." He said, "I needed to hear that. Thank you." And I said, "What are you going to do today?" He said, "I don't know. Thanks for talking to me." I said, "No. What are you going to do?" I said, "You got gas in your truck?" "I got about a half tank." He said, "Cool, that's enough to get to my house. I'll fill it up. I'll give you some money. After this game, by the time this game is over, you'll be here." I said, "We'll barbecue, we'll do whatever, just hang on." He goes, "Well, I'll call you in about 30 minutes later." So he ends up at a house of another member, Mo, that you know very well. Him and my brother were very close as well. I actually met Mo through him. Later in the day, he ends up going to Mo's house and watching a football game, hanging out. And like Mo was very close to Jason. That was like and he actually calls me when he's over there. I want to say the Buffalo Bills were playing, and they were completely stomping on some of the team. My brother's a Buffalo Bills fan, and he's just talking about it. Like, they haven't been good forever. They're doing great. He was just so happy. And it was an hour and a half later, I get a video. So, watching that his wife sent me. And it's my brother's video to his son. Take care of his mom. Take care of his sister. If she gets to keep her, no matter what, be in her life. What gets me after that is I passed him on the freeway at one point. Tried to get to his house. We tried to figure out where he was or where he was going. He went straight through Bakersfield and ended up at the Hatchet. And I passed him for some fucking that I can't get over. Because I wasn't vigilant enough to find my brother. I'm just calling him. He's just sitting there. I can imagine the amount of phone calls he was getting from me. And I just kept telling him, leaving a message after message, like, whatever you want to do, I don't give a shit, just let me do it. Just let me sit in the passenger seat. I don't care where we end up, how far we drive. Just let me go with you. That part hurts.
Sounds to me like you tried real hard.
I don't feel that I did. That's what gets me. We all got to his house. One of his really good buddies that he worked with was there. He keeps calling his wife and asking her why she's been unfaithful and all this stuff. And even though that, she's still just feeding lies to him. The truth is already out there. She's still lying about it. And he's sending her videos, and there was one distinct video, and he's talking about he's going back to God where he belongs. And he has to get to the footprints. And I recognized the video of exactly where he was. He had just passed the farms, Park going up to Tehachapi, and I recognized the video. I know exactly what you're saying. So I told his buddy, I said, do whatever you got to do on your end, but I can tell you exactly where he's at. So they put a bolo out, they got a hold of them. They actually got in touch with Dodge, with the Uconnect system, Inget, and CHP, when we thought it was CHP, pulled it up until about September of last year. We all thought it was CHP that pulled him over, and as soon as he was pulled over, he just took his own life. That is not how it happened. The deputy, the sheriff, the deputy that acted for the sheriff's office in Kern County that actually pulled him over lives within a mile of him. That just found myself. On that ride we did, he wasn't there at that part, but he went to the Hatchman and came back to our house. I know you and Sarah could do that. And he told me exactly what happened and how he tried to help.
This is 5 years after the fact.
He pulled him over because there was a bolo, and he said nowhere in the bolo did it say it was a law enforcement. He said the way that they worded it, he just had a feeling like that he's some sort of first responder. He's looking for help. That was his how he understood the message. And he had a trainee with him, and they pulled him over, and he said the trainee was gung ho, got out of the car, went down there, was trying to like escalate and be very prompt and quick about getting him out of the car. And he did have his gun with him, and he was on the center console. She started freaking out. He's got a gun, started yelling, and he calmed her down and was like, just get back in the car. And he goes, and he said that he has no idea why, but he went straight to the driver's side window. No gun, nothing. Looked right at his and just said, hey, my name's Deputy so-and-so. You're not going to hurt me, are you? He goes, no. He goes, okay, cool, because I'm as calm as can be, right? He goes, I would never do that. He goes, but for some reason it told me, be easy. He said they talked. About 4 or 5 minutes. He was on the phone with his wife. He was on the phone with his other buddy. They're all trying to talk him off of it. He pulls up his gun. He looks at the deputy and says, positions the gun on his temple to where he would be in the line of fire. He says, you might. He said as soon as he stepped back, he took the under his chin and went up. When he went up there with us 5 years later, that was the first time he went back to that spot. He said it hurt. I had asked him how the agency helped him going through that. He's one of 115 that was affected. He said they tried. He didn't hold them at fault or lack of effort. It's lack of ability. Is how people do it. They're just not there yet. Cities and counties aren't there yet. A lot of them want to be able to offer that help. They don't know how. Something like this is trying to open the door and show them how. And like you said, you're no licensed professional. You're not licensed to do anything but eat a pack of gum, right? But at least you're shining a light on what they want help with.
I've actually talked to some people who work in that environment of helping first responders, and they're just basically having a really bad day and just need to vent to somebody. I have a friend in actually CDMA that has a business doing that. It's living, being an on-call counselor. That's something I actually plan on trying to do at some point. So, not too many people are built for this. I don't know how I ended up built for this, but I'm built for this. Yeah. It's the calls. I have that gift. I don't know why. But, I don't know what to do. Point to, for me to kind of take the conversation a little bit. But let me just say thank you very much for sharing. I know that's not easy stuff to just put out to the world. And from one Marine to another talking about another. Our brotherhood is very tight. These losses. This morning I was talking on Facebook about the hole in our heart that leaves when we lose people. And we got to keep on marching when that's going on. It's a freaking rain cloud that never goes away. And so I have a couple people in mind right now when I say this that I've talked to that I know have considered doing this very strongly. Some of them even had a plan to do this. Some of them I have talked off the ledge. This is not easy for him to share. And we're talking about somebody that his blood, somebody he cares about deeply and always will. And if you're in that headspace to where you're thinking about making that decision because you're having a bad day, week, month, year, I want you to think about this. Think about the 115 that's probably an underestimate of people that you're going to hurt for a really long time if you make that decision. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm not trying to be, banging a drum per se. I'm just saying, think about it. It's all, that video he has is always going to be in his head. There are things you cannot unsee or unhear. Honestly, I'm glad you got it because you have his voice. But I can only imagine how hard that is. I'm really grateful that you shared that because no matter how hard it is to talk about these things and hear them and process them, we are never going to fix this problem until we start having these conversations openly to the point where we have mutual understanding and people fully understand the trickle-down effect, the ripple effect that this has. And if I get passionate about it, I've tried to completely stop cussing, which doesn't work well at all for me, but in this environment, I try not to cuss because I'm trying to put out a positive message. I'm still a jarhead at heart 100%. Just think about the effect this is going to have long term on people that you love. It's not all about you. It's about you in your head and the crappy headspace you're in right now, but it's not all about you long term. You might be able to make your own pain go away. Do you really want to make hundreds of people, 275 people at his funeral, have that pain for the rest of their lives? Because it's not going to go away.
I can piggyback off what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Popped in my head and I don't want to forget it. I thought I knew everything my brother was going through because we talked a lot. So did my older brother. Me and my older brother, we were close, but we weren't as close as me and my little brother. My older brother and my little brother were not very close. They did not get along for the longest time. They ended up very close in the last year of his life. And I really appreciated that because I was always the one caught in the middle between them two, battling it out. I thought my brother was telling me everything. I thought he was telling my older brother everything. It wasn't until he passed away in a very selfish way that there was 5 of us. It was myself, my brother, and 3 of his coworkers, his really good friends, that knew 5 different pieces, but never knew the whole story. Because he knew if any one of us knew the whole story, we would never leave his side. Do not be selfish and hold this in. Talk to somebody, whether they're licensed, they're a professional, or they're a homeless guy sitting on the corner. I could care less. I will tell you, 3 days after my brother passed away, his was a Sunday, I believe, Wednesday, I was walking my son to school, and there's a gentleman there that I know he's with the local law enforcement down there in Bakersfield. I've never met him in my life, never even said hi to him, but I see him, and it's one of those acquaintances that you give a wave to, right? I broke down. I went up to him, and all I could keep saying was, he was my brother. He is my brother. She goes, what are you talking about? And I just started bawling. I said, he just took his own life. You had to have heard about it. He was at the hatchback. He goes, holy shit. Come to find out, he's a peer volunteer down there. And after that, the officer that was there ended up calling me and just to talk. And he sat there. Our kids walked into school. And I don't know if he had anywhere to be, but he stood there and prayed for me and just talked to me for, it felt like an eternity, but it was probably 20 minutes. And I get home, my wife said, where the hell have you been? I said, talking to a stranger. It's just talk to somebody. Going back to you're weak if you ask for help, right? I was forced by my supervisor and my wife. Through work, we have employee assistance program. Most bigger companies have them, EAP, whatever you want to call it. I can see a licensed therapist, counselor, whatever, a psychiatrist, psychologist, 6 times a year, and they'll pay for it. They forced me to do it. I was just against it. I don't know. Fine. I don't need to talk to anybody. I was talking to my wife. Why? I didn't even realize. I wasn't even telling my wife everything. I felt like I was, but she knew I wasn't. And I didn't realize I was just masking what I was telling her, how I was feeling. And I was being selfish too, because I was taking this pain on and I wasn't acknowledging that my wife was hurting just as much as I was. That was my brother. That was her brother as well. She had known him for 7 years at that point. We lived together a long time. I mean, it did. When they forced me to go sit down and talk to somebody licensed, I ended up going all 6 sessions, and I burned through those 6 sessions in 6 weeks. And it was the best thing I ever did, because I didn't realize when you go in there, that's just another human, another person that you're talking to. They're just educated in ways to respond. They are going to listen just like anybody else, but they are going to give you the answer, not that you want to hear. They're going to give you the answer that you need to hear. And like he had said, you have to be straight. People were straight with him. He was dealing with his alcoholism. And he's been straight with people about it. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And if you go talk to somebody and it slips that you're suicidal and they have to report you, they have to report you. You know why? Because they want you to survive. They want you to live. They want you to see tomorrow. There's all these different clothing companies out there. There's an inspirational guy that I believe he's on probably all platforms. I see him, I think, on Instagram. And one that sticks with me, and I actually watch this one every now and then, just over and over. The hardest part about losing you is I have to remember you for longer than I need. Ooh, that is deep.
That's tough.
Don't let somebody use that about you, because that sucks. I only got to know my brother for 30 years. I hope I live another 30. It's long, that's tough. Don't be selfish. Talk. whatever your thoughts are. If it's your spouse, you need to talk to a friend, a stranger. If you need to find a new hobby, riding motorcycles, playing softball like these gentlemen are in the background of us, whatever you want to do, walk your dog, get a new dog, get another dog, get a turtle, find a passion and stay occupied with that passion.
Do you mind if I take it over a little bit? Dude, you are throwing out some wisdom, man. So, a little bit of a backstory as far as why I'm doing this, why I have a podcast, why I'm running a foundation. I started a YouTube channel to talk about veterans' mental health issues because I was taking call after call after call while simultaneously dealing with my own depression, talking about it, you know, in our ranks, talking about it. You know, I'm calling people up, hey, dude, I'm struggling right now. Next thing you know, I start getting more public with it. I've got a YouTube channel, start riding motorcycles. The rest is history. And during the process of all this, there's one Marine that I combat deployed with that went, sir, you ever thought about making a documentary? And I've told the story 100 times, but it's very relevant to all of this. And I'm like, what? Are you on crack, basically, is what I said to him. No, I'm not thinking about making a documentary. What the heck do I make a documentary about? And he goes, you. And I went, you want me to make a documentary about me? I don't even know. I can't even figure my own life out. Why do you want me to make a documentary about me? And he just said, the passion that you have for keeping our guys alive. And of course, I made fun of him and I said it was a dumb idea. You know, we're Marines, that's what we do. But yeah, exactly. But I mean, he was saying it very lovingly, very genuinely, like, sir, I think you should do this because I've never seen anybody that's got the passion for this that you do. So with all that said, he talks me into making a documentary that's now developing into a miniseries, which we're well into it. And that miniseries is all about this: veterans connecting with each other to avoid a negative outcome. We're building a community, and we're doing it on television to get to the guys that are sitting there at home, desperately trying to get out of their mental cloud, doing this, cutting themselves. I mean, you name it. We're trying to get to the people that think nobody cares, and television is the easiest way to do that. It's TV. Because a lot of these guys that are worried about losing, we don't see them. They don't see us. They are sitting there in their own mental prison. As my friend Dan Doyle, recon, were in Vietnam. We talk about mental prison. So we have to get these people. I'm making some audacious claims with this because I figured if we set a big goal and miss it, at least we got close to it. So I'm saying, hey, let's cut the suicide thing in the veteran community. Let's cut it in half. If we get to, well, I'm not good at fractions, but let's say we get to 3/8. That's still a whole lot better than what it is right now. And the 22 a day fallacy irritates me to no end, but 22 is a good tagline. It's a good way to go. Hey, this is important. It's not even close. The research I've done, we are looking at roughly 38 veterans a day based on the statistics that I've looked at and stuff, and it's regional, and it's some states report, some states don't, but let's just go with 22. Let's say it's 22. I want to cut that in half. That's a starting point. But my belief is it's somewhere between 8,000 and 12,000 veterans a year we are losing to this. And if you think about the homeless, you think about, yeah, maybe it was a suicide, maybe it wasn't. There's a whole lot of that going on. I've talked to a lot of cops who make those determinations on site. I don't want to get too far into that because it gets real depressing real fast. But we have a big problem that if we don't get out in front of it, nothing's going to change. So 22 a day, let's do some push-ups. I'm done with that. So we are going to build a community that I'm calling a quick reaction force, using our lingo, to get to the guys who are struggling much faster. So I'm basically 500 veterans across the country. They then connect with community organizations, churches, veterans outreach groups, other motorcycle clubs and associations. I want to make it so we can get these guys in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When they're in crisis. At least have somebody for them to call and make it so loud that they cannot possibly ignore it. They have somebody to call. That is basically the backbone of Warriors of the Wind, is that concept. So,
if anybody that ever sees this listens and watches, and you're nervous about following a suicide prevention line with the VA suicide prevention specifically, I have a very close friend that I was in Iraq with that a couple years ago. I never knew it until afterwards. I talked to him once every 4 or 5 months. He had told me he called that number and checked himself in because he was suicidal. That's huge. That takes a lot of balls. Talking to him about it, he didn't know why he was suicidal, what was prompting him. He just knew he kept having thoughts and started planning stuff and got scared and called. And you know what's funny about that? He lives a happy life today. Didn't lose his job. His life didn't end. It paused because everybody and everything that he does in life wanted him there. If you're worried that you're not going to have a job when you come out of there, or your life's ruined, you're tagged, you're gonna have a dog tag that says I'm suicidal, people got to stay away from me, whatever it is, you're wrong. Get rid of that notion. If you have an employer that is gonna get rid of you because you checked yourself into suicide watch because you didn't commit suicide and they fired you, they weren't worthy of having you as an employee.
Right.
If friends look down on you, they weren't your friends. If family looks down on you, pick new family. We can all pick our own family. I'm a firm believer in that.
Absolutely.
Talk. I tried to put myself in my brother's shoes. Luckily, I've never been suicidal. I think it's normal, and some people have told me I'm wrong, and other people have agreed with me. I think it is normal. How do I want to word this? To think about suicide. If I were to commit suicide, I would do it by X, Y, or Z. I think that's 100% normal. Maybe I'm a little different than some. It's such a common thing now, and it sucks. Like, I can't help but to think, like, if I were to do that, I'd do it this way. But I tried to put myself in my brother's shoes, and I could not get low enough. And I was dragging ass as a zombie for about a week. My wife was pissed. And I just remember telling her, like, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes to see how low he got, and I couldn't. I could not. And I'm talking a bottle of whiskey a night. Just getting hammered, trying to get down to his level, and I couldn't. So if you are really feeling that low, talk to somebody, please. Because me trying, and it's no professional study, but I tried to get there and I couldn't. You've got some stuff going on and you need to talk. And don't let it get that far. Don't get so wrapped up that you're weak if you talk to somebody. Talk to somebody.
I got a couple things, if I may piggyback now. It's such an officer kind of word. I don't like the word piggyback, but you used it first, so
Allow it.
So a couple things, because I've talked to the amount of veterans I have for the purpose of making a documentary miniseries, plan all this out, get a better understanding of what gets people to this point. I've got a lot of trend analysis up here in my noggin that I think is very relevant to the things you're saying. Frustration, in my professional opinion, licensed, unlicensed, which I'm not, my professional opinion is the biggest contributor to suicide is flat out frustration. It's frustration that I can't talk to somebody because I don't want to be weak. It's frustration that my spouse doesn't understand. It's frustration that you can't get a job because you can't focus. Frustration you can't sleep. Frustration permeates all these different things based on the people that I've talked to. So with that said, you got into kind of the weeds that I'm not sure how to approach just yet, but with the spouse component of this, look, if you're a spouse or a partner of somebody, whatever that looks like, you are completely intertwined. Like, you're a huge part of this person's life, and they need you. And if you don't recognize that, you need to. You know, I've been in relationships, plural, not naming names, where, you know, I was called a piece of crap. You know, a whole lot of other things that I won't get into. And I'll tell you, that affected me very, very deeply. And that is a huge part of the reason I was depressed for a very long time, was I started believing it. And that's a very painful place to live. So this camera is turned off. A quick technical break. Let me make sure this is still recording. Okay, we're good there. Back from a quick lunch break here at the lovely park in Lemoore, or actually Harmona. Heavy subject matter. I think we did a pretty good job of, you know, working through that. I'm trying to think of takeaways. I mean, we could talk about this ripple effect. I think we kind of hit that pretty good. What haven't we talked about at this point?
Just with the ripple effect, we've talked about the 115. Maybe that's an understatement. Maybe that's an overstatement. Just in general, just think about, and it's the longevity of the ripple effect. I have a nephew that will never get to talk to his dad. That means more than me as a brother, or my dad losing his son. A parent should never lose a child. That just a given. That's not supposed to happen that way. Life is not supposed to end that soon, in that way, in that fashion. Understand, and I'm going to keep saying the word selfishness, and it sucks that I'm using that, because if you're really in that bad of a spot, and you think that's your only option, I'm not going to fault you for that. I might resent you for it, but it is honestly a very selfish thing to do. And there are other ways. And don't just think by shooting yourself or overdosing, you putting a toaster in a bathtub, whatever people are doing. We talked about this the other day. If you're praying that you don't wake up tomorrow, you are in some way, shape, or form, still hoping. You're suicidal in that mind. Because, in my opinion, because just because you aren't suicidal enough to where you're actually going to go to the corner of that park and go hang yourself in a tree or whatever it may be. I'm just speaking out facts, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Or theories. But same thing. If you're sitting there just saying, just let today be the day, maybe I can just, go out peacefully in my sleep. Or if you're driving like an asshole, riding your motorcycle at high speeds, very offensively instead of defensively, cutting people off, driving corners. How many times have we talked about where you were driving on these roads not caring, right? You're suicidal without being suicidal, because you don't care at that point. My wife knows there are certain times where she will not allow me to ride my motorcycle. And that is not her saying, I wear the pants. That is her saying, you are going to ride like an a-hole right now. Do not get on that bike.
That's being a good partner, and that's maturity.
Because I will get on that thing, and it will be full throttle through all 6 gears.
If I may, I want to respond to what you said about praying you wouldn't wake up. I have lived that life. I've never been suicidal, never had a plan, never wanted to do it per se, but I was very, very sad. I didn't know what to do with that emotion. I tried to rein my way through it, and it's tough. The way I describe it to people who've never been in that headspace is my wick was burned out of the candle, but I had nothing left to give. And I wake up every day, and I was like, I got nothing. That's how I felt every day for a long time. And you heard me talk to the group about it. I'm not shy about this, because if my bad experience and my theoretical weakness enables you not to have the same experience, it's worth me humbling myself. Yeah, I was screwed up for a long time. I fixed it. But with that said, my wick being burnt out, like, I truly thought I had nothing left to give. I thought I was a worthless piece of garbage. And a series of events happened. I took up riding during this time when these things were happening. And I realized how therapeutic it was. The next thing you know, I'm all of a sudden I'm happy. I'm creative. I'm doing these things. And trust me when I say, if you're watching this, if you feel like you're suicidal or close to it, if I could pull myself out of the funk that I was in, I promise you, you got a pretty good chance of being okay. I promise. I was bad. Like, I was done. So, I disagree with you, but it's the same thing as being suicidal, but I understand where you're coming from, too. Because depression can be gnarly, man.
Oh, it leads to suicide.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. If you're not depressed and you're just a happy-go-lucky person, I don't think you have suicidal thoughts.
I think everybody does on some level. I would be astounded to meet somebody that can say with integrity they've never ever thought about something like that. They've never had anything. Like,
I think depression brings the intent.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
The severity of it.
As many veterans as I've talked to, I think suicidal ideations they're misunderstood. There needs to be, I think, more explanation. That's part of what I want to do with the series. More explanation of what that really means. Like, you wake up and you're just not feeling it in the morning, and you're like, dang, if I just took some sleeping pill, whatever. Like, it's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to actually want to do it and start making plans. And, the VA asks those kinds of questions every time you go there to talk to the head shrink or whatever. So, I think a lot of the people in our community know these things. But again, with what I'm working on, one of the biggest intents of the series is destigmatizing through education.
Yeah.
And making it make business sense by virtue of, we're going to literally help veterans with this, like actively, tangibly help them, not talk about helping them. That's why we need the sponsorship. And that's my big push right now. I need a motorcycle to give to my first warrior of the Wen, so we can start documenting his healing process of coming out of 39 years of depression, isolation, survivor's guilt, substance abuse, homelessness. And we're going to document his journey and show other people, hey, you're not the only one. I went through it too. Look at me now. I'm on a motorcycle. I'm connected with veterans. And, I'm already seeing this guy heal. You read my post. And like, there are people in our chapter that have done the same thing. I sat down, like in the post, I sat down yesterday with somebody who has been through that journey. Riding.
He doesn't have a motorcycle. Right?
He does not yet.
He just drives, and he's in behind the pack in his vehicle, just being part of it. So
one thing with the series, I don't want to talk too much about that, but one thing with the series is it's proof of concept that helping a veteran by way of giving us a motorcycle it also makes business sense, because we're going to be very thankful to your business, and we're going to talk about it on social media, on the series, on that hey, this very generous America veteran-loving company helped us out with this, and then we advertised with them for the next year. So for the price of whatever motorcycle, they get a marketing employee for the next year. So it makes business sense.
Yeah.
And it also does. There is no bad to be found here, except for the inherent risk of riding a motorcycle that everybody knows. But I've got theories on that too, actually.
I don't like people doing that.
Those bikers, you got to watch out for these guys.
Try to throw that out there.
Well, fun fact, I'm not positive about the number. Maybe you remember, of motorcycle fatalities. I think we're 38 times more likely to get into an accident and have it be a fatality, but 90% of motorcycle fatalities can be prevented by wearing a helmet.
do the math on that one. Like, there are so many it's kind of they're trying to paint us in a bad light because our 10, 20% are out there doing stupid things, so they want to make all bikers look bad. Well,
And there are.
There are. I mean, there are some bikers that I don't want to be associated with. But
No.
the bulk of them are good people.
Well, I mean, and this is going to hijack this a little bit, but people don't understand too. If you pace traffic on a motorcycle, you have a death wish. You're going to die. And there's no going slower than traffic. You have to go a little bit faster than traffic, and that's what one of the very few, besides the weather, that I love California is because you are allowed to lane split, because they would rather you get out of the way of that hazard and go reasonably faster than traffic and just mind your own. Because if you stay stagnant, you are going to end up in a blind spot.
Yes.
You are going to disappear.
It's happened to you.
Go faster. Yes. And I'm not saying 20, 30 miles an hour. You go 5 miles an hour faster, you are going to slowly creep by cars. Move on with your day. We all want to get there safely. Now, there's some people that do, 50 miles an hour faster. They're living on the edge.
Yeah, we don't associate with any of those guys.
We don't. But but you can relate it right back to, you said that very small percentage of cops that may not deserve that cup of coffee, right? It's a very small percentage of bikers too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people in this world, if you have one bad interaction with one type of individual, you hold it against all of them. But then when people do it to you, you get upset.
Hey, so we've kind of allowed us to gravitate towards something different. I want to make sure I get this out because I think I forgot to earlier. As we kind of close out this podcast, I just want to say, when I was coming out of my funk, trying to get my wick back, so to speak, there were a few key people that told me things that I didn't necessarily want to hear, but I desperately needed to hear.
Yes.
I mean, one of the things my best friend said to me, I got a few best friends that are this way. They'll tell you what you don't want to hear. That's the kind of friends that I want. And he basically just said, you're effing up, and you're better than this, and I don't like who you're becoming, and he let me have it. And he is definitely still my best friend because I didn't see it. I literally didn't see it. You get into these patterns in life, and it just becomes your normalcy, your everyday routine. Like, yeah, I'm going to get up and I'm going to feel like crap, and I'm going to, not shower for 3 days or whatever because I'm sad and I don't care. Forget shaving, don't brush my teeth. That's another thing, hygiene. If you see somebody with bad hygiene that normally doesn't have it, you should worry. I just talked to somebody else about this. Like not showing up for work. Like, there are clear warning signs. You just got to know what to look for. And that's part of the reason we're doing these things, is to put those out there. But kind of wrapping up what I wanted to say initially, I interrupted you sort of. Do not underestimate the power of a well-timed phone call. If you're worried about somebody and you don't call them, in my case, with the work that I'm doing now, I consider that gross negligence. If I don't at least try to check in on a person that I know is struggling, I'm not doing my job. And nobody's paying me to do this job. This is just my job because I said it's my job. Because it's my heart, it's my pull. I'm very, very committed to do this, and I can't ignore it. So, but if I was ever worried about you, I would call you. And I think more people need to jump on board with that concept. And maybe it'll be an uncomfortable call. Like, look, man, I know we haven't talked in a couple of years, but I saw this post on Facebook, and this made me worry. And are you okay? And maybe things ended on a bad note. You're still letting them know somebody cares.
Yeah.
And that can save a life. So, and I definitely encourage, I've talked to my Marines about this dozens of times. Like, a phone call takes 5 minutes. Like, the guys that you serve with, chances are they're going through some of the same things that you've gone through. Maybe you're not doing it now, but pick up the phone. That ain't hard. Do you have anything to add? I know you're going to get on the road.
No, I'm good. I think we threw it all out there. Just don't ever feel weak. And don't ever think that asking for help is weak. If you need to talk to somebody, call anybody. I mean, let a telemarketer call you. Just bug them. Anybody. They get paid by the phone call. Keep them on the phone. Call DirecTV. Call customer service. Call anybody. Just talk. I don't care if you're nervous about getting your information out there. Talk to a stranger. I did that and it helped. And I went and saw a therapist and it helped even more. Talk to somebody. I don't care who it is. Talk to your dog. Just talk. The more you talk, the more you let it out and you understand. You may be thinking things and feeling things and doing things and you don't know why, and then speaking, you will get it out and you will hear it, and that may answer questions that you have that you do not know the answers to. It may put light to some things, like maybe it's because I'm doing this because you said it but you're not thinking about it. It's no different than having a dream and waking up and not knowing if it's reality or not. Same thing, when you hear it, you speak it, you see it, you will understand it, you will process it. Just talk to anybody, I don't care who. That's all I have to say.
I'm good with ending it there. Warriors of the Wind podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in, I guess. I'm still figuring out how to close these things out, but
Toodaloo.
toodaloo.
I would say watch Anchorman. He ends it very well.
It's just like whales or something.
Go F yourself, San Diego.
That was his words. All right.
That was PG.
Hey, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. I know that was heavy. So
Yes, that was a good. I haven't cried like that in a while.
that's good for you. That's I should have said that too.
Good.
It took me a long time to cry, but once you learn,
My brother died. I cried for 4 days straight.
that just makes a whole lot of sense.
My father-in-law came down to help with the kids because I was just in the front, walking up in the season in the morning, busting down crying, just talking to him. Why? Why? He's just like, I don't know what to say. I don't need you to say anything. I'm just going through some emotions.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to pack up the gear again. Thanks. Yeah. Good enough. Thanks, quiet guy.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.